Hello children, how are you? Hope all of you are safe and good. Well, this is Geeta Jayakumar welcoming you to this platform of online learning. Today I am here to speak a few concepts or to explain a few concepts on a very important chapter in our biology curriculum, that is our environment. Now, while on environment, let me tell you a very important thing. Now, in this fast paced world, with the increasing development in technology and our better standard of living, we find that we are generating lot of wastes. The wastes that we generate are creating lot of impact on our environment. Now, if we go to segregate the wastes, we find that the wastes can be of two types. They might be the biodegradable wastes and the non-biodegradable wastes. The biodegradable wastes are those that are decomposed by the microbes. You all might be aware of the biodegradable wastes. They are the vegetable peels, the fruit peels, our kitchen wastes. They are the biodegradable wastes. The non-biodegradable wastes like the plastics, the polythene bags, etc., that cannot be decomposed by microbes and they are creating a harmful effect on our environment. Now, what is environment? Environment means the habitat or the place or the surroundings in which an organism lives and thrives. Now, in order to make the environment a harmonious one, a balanced one, we need to know what is an ecosystem. Ecosystem is nothing but the interaction between certain components in our environment. The components may be biotic components or abiotic components. The biotic, as the word itself is explanatory, the word biotic means living and abiotic means non-living or the physical factors. The biotic factors or the living factors comprise of the plants, the animals, human beings, etc. That means all that is living around us. The abiotic components or the physical factors are certain environmental factors like temperature, pressure, humidity, etc. So that was all about ecosystem. But then how many types of ecosystem are there? There are two types of ecosystem, that is the natural and the artificial. Natural means something that is available in the free nature. That means it might be a pond, it might be a lake, it might be a river, etc. The artificial ecosystem means something that is made by man. It can be a garden, it can be a crop field, or it can be a farm. These are all made by man. But whatever be the components, the biotic components, if you go into detail into the biotic components, you will find that basically there are the producers, the consumers and the decomposers. We go to the food chain. Now, what is a food chain? The flow of energy or the method of energy transfer from one component of the ecosystem or one organism in the ecosystem to another organism in the ecosystem is called the food chain. Now, this particular food chain may be of various types. They might be the terrestrial or they might be aquatic. Terrestrial, I can give you one simple example about which all of you are familiar. Let us take the grass. The grass can be eaten by a deer can be eaten by a lion. So you find there are three different levels in that particular food chain. So this is called a three-level food chain. Similarly, there might be another example of a food chain, that is the plants eaten by, say, a grasshopper, or a grass is eaten by a grasshopper, which is eaten by a frog, frog is eaten by a snake, etc. So these are the different examples of a food chain. That means I want to tell you that in a food chain, basically what is taking place, there is a transfer of food. Food means energy. So there is a transfer of energy from one organism to another, that is called a food chain. Similarly, the example of an aquatic food chain also, let me tell you. Let us take the example of an aquatic ecosystem. Suppose in an aquatic ecosystem, few algae are there. The algae are eaten by, say, small fishes. Small fishes are eaten by, say, larger fishes. Larger fishes are eaten by a crane. So in this particular food chain, there are 4 different levels. So I gave you the examples of 3 different types of food chain. Some are having 3 levels, some are having 4 levels. So what does this level? Each of these levels in a food chain is called a trophic level. And the trophic levels consists of the producers or the green plants, the consumers and the decomposers. Let us talk about the producer. There are different types of food chains, the terrestrial food chains and the aquatic food chains. Now while talking about the food chain, I told you there are different levels. The producers, the consumers and the decomposers. The producers are always the green plants. Children, remember that. The green plants only have the power or the ability to manufacture food by a very important process called photosynthesis. So the producers are always at the bottommost part of any food chain and they are always maximum in number. Then the producers, say the green plants, are eaten by the next level organisms. They are called the consumers or the primary consumers who are basically herbivores. They in turn are being consumed by the next level consumers. They are called the secondary consumers or the carnivores. The carnivores are consumed by the next level, that is the omnivores, who are also called the tertiary consumers. So let us not forget about the decomposers here. Decomposers also form a very important component of our ecosystem. They might be the bacteria or they might be the fungus. Now what do? They actually stay on the dead and decayed organic matter and convert them into some usable components which are added back into the soil and they replenish the soil. They clean our environment. So their function is also a very, very important one. So these are all the different components of the food chain. Now let us come to another word or another topic, that is the food web. What is a food web? Now food chains, all these food chains that I told you, they were all straight line food chains. But sometimes it so happens that one organism might be eaten by 2 or more other types of organisms. So they don't form a straight line food chain always. They might form a branching line. They might form a network of food chains. So such networks of or interconnected food chains are called food webs. So food chains and food webs are very, very important parts of our ecosystem. Now while on the food chains, let us talk about the transfer of energy. How is this transfer of energy taking place in this food chain? Now as I told you before, the green plants or the producers, they are manufacturing food by the process called photosynthesis. From where do they get the energy for that? They get the energy from the sun. But sun, you know, it's the ultimate source of heat and light on the earth. Are the plants able to absorb all the energy coming from the sun? Definitely not. Only 1% of the energy coming from the sun is being utilized or absorbed by the plants. The plants utilize that energy for their growth, for their reproduction and for all other metabolic activities. Part of that energy is released into the atmosphere as heat. So what remains? Only 10% is remaining that can be passed to the next level. So on an average, if we go to calculate, we'll find that every trophic level receives only 10% of energy from the previous level. So that is the reason why most of the food chains have only 3 or 4 trophic level, because by the time we reach the last level, the amount of energy becomes so less that it becomes very difficult for the survival of the organisms in that particular level. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now let me just tell you few more facts about the energy transfer. Energy transfer in a food chain, as I told you, only 10% of energy is going to the next level. Now that has got a law. It is remembered or it is said or it is explained with the help of a law. What is that law called? It is called the 10% law of energy transfer. One more important fact about energy transfer is that the flow of energy is unidirectional. What do you mean by unidirectional? The energy that is obtained from the sun goes to the primary consumers, but that energy cannot go back or cannot revert back to the solar output. That is why we say that energy flow is always takes place in one direction or it is unidirectional. I hope the concept of flow of energy is very clear to you children. Yes. Now we go to the next topic, that is biological magnification. Now children, all of us know that the farmers, they use lot of pesticides, insecticides and chemicals to increase the yield of the crops. Now these chemicals are non-biodegradable. Not only that, they can be very much harmful also. So when these harmful non-biodegradable chemicals enter into the aquatic food chain or terrestrial food chain, who do you think is affected the most? Yes, we human beings are affected because we human beings or man occupy the topmost level in any food chain. As a result, all these harmful chemicals are getting progressively accumulated in our bodies, and this phenomenon by which the harmful chemicals are getting accumulated in the bodies of higher level of organisms is called biological magnification. That is why we are advised to wash our vegetables and fruits, even meat or any other animal products that you buy from the market, because the amount of toxic chemicals might be quite more in all of these products. Now let us go to another very important environmental phenomena, or I should say environmental disaster. What is that? That is ozone depletion. Now ozone, as you all are aware, you have studied little more about ozone in 9th standard also. What is ozone? Ozone is a triatomic molecule. It is O3. That means one molecule of ozone has got 3 atoms of oxygen. Compared to oxygen, it is of course poisonous. Whereas oxygen is a lifesaver gas, ozone is a deadly poison. But though it is a deadly poison, it acts as a shield or an umbrella, protecting our Earth's surface from the harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun. These ultraviolet radiations can cause skin cancer, inflammation or many other problems to us. But then we are being protected by this ozone shield. Now how is this ozone formed? At a very higher level in the atmosphere, to be very specific, in the stratosphere, the oxygen molecule is acted upon by the ultraviolet radiations and they are forming 2 oxygen atoms. Each of these oxygen atoms reacts with one oxygen molecule and it forms one molecule of ozone. But this ozone layer is being depleted now, again because of our activities. The chlorofluorocarbons which are emitted out of our refrigerators, fire extinguishers, etc. They are depleting the ozone layer. They are degrading the ozone layer. So what should we do? We can always control the CFC emissions. What is CFC? It is chlorofluorocarbons that is coming out of our refrigerators and other air conditioners, etc. Now how is this done? That is because a body called UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, they forged an agreement by which they said that the amount of CFC emission should be restricted to the 1986 level. So I hope you have understood about ozone. Now we come to the conclusion of our chapter, that is management of garbage. As I started with the chapter that we are generating lot of wastes, but then it is in our hands again to manage our wastes. You might have heard about the recycling, about making compost, about making biogas and about recycling or landfills, etc. You might have heard. These are the different methods of management of garbage. Apart from all that, you might have not heard a word called incineration. What is incineration? It is burning the wastes at a very high temperature to release ash. That is also a method of management of garbage. So children, I hope this lesson is quite clear to you. With that, we come to the conclusion of the lesson. As has been rightly said, the earth provides enough for man's needs, but then not sufficient for anyone's greed. So let us pass on this earth as a legacy to our future generations. Keep your environment safe. Keep your environment good. Thank you.